Hey guys, Spencer here. Just wanted to come and give you guys an update on YouTube. Uh, as you know, on this video, on this channel, I mostly post bicycle videos, motorcycle videos, things that are just generally happen to me in my life on this channel. But now I'm gonna start posting a lot more talking type of videos where I just give you, just a small piece of my mind. And basically, it's going to get a lot more dynamic. I'm going to try to post more every week and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy this next bit of stuff that is going to come up because I'm going to go in a little bit different direction. That new direction it means I'm going to post a lot more political videos. You've heard it, political videos. Why? Because I've always been involved in politics for the last few years or so, and it's been interesting the way I've seen things move in the country and with people and things in general. So I'll still be focusing more, on bike stuff and other things that happen in my life. But I want to let you guys know who subscribe to this channel, who don't know about my political views, is that I've walked away. Walked away from what? I've walked away not only from, bicycle accidents. I walked away not only from things that happened to me on the motorcycle and stuff like that, but I've done things more important than that. I've walked away from the Democratic Party. I used to be a Democrat. I voted for Obama in 2008, thought he would be a very, very good president. And I was a bit disappointed in how he turned out. But more importantly, I found out that the overall principles of the Democratic Party did not fit in line with my beliefs on how people should be free, how markets should be free, how people should have the right to free speech, and people should have the right to life, and the right to basically do what they want with their own bodies, do what they want, with their own conscience. And for far too long, the African American population in the United States has been pretty much lopsided to one party, to one set of ideas. And it was told that if you wanted to, become a Republican, or if you just had certain disagreements with the party and it didn't fit in with your belief system, that you can't go to the Republican Party. Why? Because they're full of racist white people, racist rich white people at that. And this always struck me as a bit odd. Like, how could you make up an entire party full of racist rich white people? I don't know how that is, especially when everybody in the United States, except for felons and that kind of thing, has the right to vote. Didn't make sense. And it turns out I'm not the only one who left the Democratic Party. There's this whole movement called Blexit out there. What is Blexit? That you might ask. Where it's the black exit from the Democratic Party. And by going away from the Democratic Party, you're basically able to free your mind to open up to all kinds of other different ideas that are out there. The whole idea that you are not a victim. You are responsible for your own actions, and you're able to have your own money, do your own stuff, be your own person, without having to feel like that somebody else is on top of you, squishing you, holding you down. And I think that as that relates to the Democratic Party, a lot of people don't know that the Democratic Party was the party that basically was all for slavery, slavery of African Americans. And the first Republican president was Abraham Lincoln. And the biggest thing about the Republican Party is that they did not want slavery to spread. They were all about containing slavery in the South, not letting it get to new territories, stuff like that. They were all for, people, being, relatively free. But slavery was a type of institution where the Democrats would essentially provide all of their slaves free health care, free food, free shelter, all, bought and paid for by the slave masters. And today that sounds very, very much like, slavery sounds very, very much like what the Democratic Party is today. They are the party of take from your labors and redistribute it to other people. If you make a lot of money, yeah, we're going to take that and we're going to give it to other people as well as take cut out for ourselves. The Democratic Party, they promise things like, free food, free shelter, free, education, free healthcare, all of these types of different things. And how do they pay for those things? By taking it away from people who earn it. They are basically in the business of redistribution of wealth, which, if you think about it, is very, very, very much like slavery. If everything that I've earned gets redistributed, then what do we really have left? People like to talk about income inequality, that, hey, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. We need, zero income inequality across the board. Well, if you have zero income inequality across the board, that basically means that everybody makes the same amount of money and no one really has the incentive to make more. So what happens to wealth? It goes down. And do you know what happens? Everybody becomes poor. Everybody essentially becomes a slave. And who does that benefit? Not the everyday person. It benefits the slave master. It benefits the person or the people on top controlling the entire system. So long story short, the Blexit is the black exit from the Democratic Party. And guess what? African Americans, we vote 90% of the time for the Democratic candidate. You don't really find this in any other demographic. And it's really interesting that, we got the midterms and stuff coming up. If I know that I'm going to have a certain voting bloc always voting for me, 90% of the time, then it doesn't really make much of a difference what they say about me, because all I could say, if I'm a Democratic person running, well, you can't vote for those Republicans because all they are for the racist, rich people who are white. And I just got back from Washington, D.C. I've got to, see the president, face to face, be in the green room, in the White House. And I saw the staff. I saw all the people working with him. I got to, shake hands and stuff with Dr. Ben Carson. I see all of this stuff. The president said, to us who were in the room, young, black, conservative Republicans, that we could become president one day. That some of us here in this room, one of us here in this room, we could become president one day. And that was totally off the script. And that kind of thing a racist person does not say. I mean, you just don't say that if you're a racist. I mean, the racist people that I know, and I met a couple of racist people out there, who are like white supremacist type racist people. But, these things that people say about Donald Trump and the things that he's doing for our country, I just don't buy that. I just don't see it. So yeah, I've walked away from the Democratic Party. I am not, bound on the same Democratic plantation that some of my friends who are watching this video are. And it's because, people should have the authority and the responsibility also to take care of themselves and to do what they think is best. And so just to recap here, I am a Trump supporter. I'm a Republican. I believe in making America great again. I believe in restoring the balance of justice and equality in this country. And just a perfect example of that is that you have, I think it's now 4,000 or so migrants from, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, broke through the gate of Mexico and are now coming up to the United States, basically demanding to be in this country. I mean, if Hillary was president, there'd be a whole, the doors be wide open and they'll, come into this country. But to couch everything in terms of race here, because I know my people who may be watching this channel are going to be thinking that, who does illegal immigration hurt the most? It's not hurting, rich people. It's not going to be hurting them. It's not going to be hurting, a lot of middle class people or people like me, who, live in a pretty comfortable situation in Los Angeles. But it's going to be hurting poor people. It's going to be hurting people who are, in this country, legally, looking for work. If you have, thousands upon thousands of illegal or immigrants, to this country who come from places, like Mexico and South America, they're gonna, take those jobs that people in the United States aren't willing to take for $5, $6, or $7, or even $8 an hour. They're not gonna take those jobs, but this amount of people coming in, they will take those jobs. And what's really sad about it is that we have a monolithic group of people who are just, on that ballot box, they're just going to vote Democrat, and they're going to vote Democrat because they think that the Democrats have their best interests in mind for them. And the sad reality is that the Democratic Party institutes policies that contribute to the breakdown of the African American and minority families. They contribute to, failing schools in our country, in our city. They contribute to people losing their jobs because they constantly levy taxes on people that causes them to have to narrow down the amount of people that they hire. And if you let, what at the height of it was 10,000, illegal immigrants come into the United States, and many thousands more who are undocumented, unchecked, and they're circumventing the line of people who are waiting, patiently, diligently, lawfully to come into this country, you are just creating strife, and you're creating an unbalanced, unequal situation. You're creating a situation where you have many, many people who are in this country who are just in it, and they're not citizens. They're not naturalized. They don't really care about this country. What they really care about is getting work. And when you get a situation like that, I think it's very sad. I think it's very disappointing. And I think it's very disappointing that the same leaders whom African Americans mostly vote for are the same ones that are working against them with failing schools. They won't even let school choice happen in many of these jurisdictions because they want to protect these failing teachers' unions. And they're also being cut out with these illegal immigrants coming into this country, taking not my job. They're not taking my job, and they're not taking jobs of people who are professionals, but they're taking the jobs of people who are, the least of these, poor people's jobs. They're taking people's like that away, and they're creating, really what they're creating is an entire voter base of somewhat 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants that they want to give amnesty to and the right to vote. And those 10 to 15 million people are way more than the 13% of the population that, African Americans comprise of. If African Americans come together and they decide that, hey, I'm going to be a part of the Blexit. I'm going to, exit from the Democratic Party. Then the Democratic Party will be seriously hurt. They will start to have to come to the table and play on equal footing. But they know that they got that large percentage of people that, are African American, that they can get out to vote. And when they get out to vote, they're going to vote Democrat and continue to put them in power. So I guess the other reason why that I'm, have walked away from the Democratic Party some time ago, and that I want you to come out for the Blexit, is that, it comes down to, for me, the right to life, right? I've already talked about the right to, keep the things that you own, but the right for the least of these to be, to have rights, and that's the right of the unborn. So many parallels you could draw between the Democratic Party and slavery, and I think this is one of them. The Democrats argued that, slaves were not people. They were not humans, and they did not deserve the right to life, the right to the pursuit of happiness, because they were essentially not people. And Democrats today are the party who say that those born in the womb do not have the right to life, that they don't have the right to live and thrive and be a part of this country, to be a part of this world, that they don't have the right to choose what kind of life that they want to have. And I think it's very important to note that that a person is a person, and I mean, a person inside of a body is still a person. They still have the right to live and to be born and to thrive. And the Democratic Party is the party that basically kills people in the womb, and they're the party that supports the taxpayer funding of these things. And it's very interesting to note that the person who came up with Planned Parenthood, she basically said that she wanted to exterminate the black race, and exterminate, like as in kill off, as in get rid of. And what way can they do that is by killing them before they even could get out of the womb. And I'm gonna post some videos of that later on if you subscribe to this channel. But I think it's interesting to note that in New York City there are more black babies murdered by abortion than there are born. And I think that that's very sad. And for me as a Christian, yeah, I just can't be a Democrat. I can't now. And even though Donald Trump says things that I do not like, and sometimes he can come across as very mean and crude, but the guy's policies speak for themselves, man, and he is doing things to lift up all people. And I was at the White House, and they said, Donald Trump said that now people are hiring felons. They're hiring people, off the street with a criminal record because the economy is doing so great. And I think that that's an encouraging thing, that if you want to, lift up, all people, if you want to, fight for the unborn, if you want to keep what you earn, just like Republicans did in way back when they were founded. Did you want the Republican Party? That's the party that you want, and you'll find that Trump's policies are very common sense. They just are.